Get her out, now. The music didn't stop, but the mood snapped in half. 2 white security guards barreled across the dance floor, their earpieces flashing, boots thudding against polished tile. Laughter halted. Phones turned. Aaliyah blinked. Stunned. Wait, what? One guard grabbed her arm. The other pulled her by the waist. Hey, what are you doing? She cried out, heels slipping as she stumbled backward. Whispers broke out like static. Is that Aaliyah? What's going on? She twisted toward her date, breath caught in her throat. Micah, he moved, but hesitated. Too many eyes. I didn't do anything. She shouted, panic sharpening her voice. What's happening? The nearest chaperone flinched, then looked away. Her red satin gown, the one she'd saved for, shimmered under the disco lights as she was dragged through the crowd. Aaliyah tried to dig her heels in, but they didn't stop. Not when she yelled. Not when she cried. Micah called after them. Yo, you can't just grab her like that. Back off, one of the guards snapped. Unless you want to join her outside. The gym doors slammed open. Cold night air rushed in. Music echoed behind her like a taunt dot outside. Aaliyah stumbled into the darkness, heartbeat booming in her ears. What did I do? She whispered, voice barely audible over the bass, still thumping inside. No answer. Just the heavy silence of injustice. Inside, the party continued, sort of. The music played, but no one danced. Aaliyah turned her head as she was pushed out. A sea of classmates stood still, watching. Phones were raised. Red dress, brown skin, tears. That was the frame. Kayla stood near the DJ booth, wearing the exact same dress. Not a hair out of place. Their eyes met. Kayla didn't move. She didn't need to. She must have done something, someone muttered. They wouldn't just, but even they didn't sound convinced. No one asked the guards to stop. No one stood in front of her. Not one adult intervened. Aaliyah had never felt smaller. Not because of the dress, but because of how easily everyone let this happen. She wasn't just being removed, she was being erased, and no one even blinked. I followed every rule. Aaliyah cried out, voice cracking as the cold bit her cheeks. My dress is in code, I asked 3 times. The guards didn't flinch. It's policy, one muttered, brushing invisible lint off his shoulder, like she was the problem. She looked down at herself, trying to remember what part of her body had made them uncomfortable. Her collarbone? Her shoulders? This isn't about a dress, she whispered, realizing sinking in. It never was. Her words, rational and panicked, bounced off uncaring ears. She wasn't a student at that moment, just a disruption they were told to remove. Inside, laughter awkwardly resumed. Someone took a selfie. Aaliyah clutched her phone like it might tether her to something sane. She stared at the screen. No messages. No help. She wasn't being heard, and that silence was screaming louder than any accusation. Through the wide glass doors, Aaliyah saw Kayla sipping soda, still in her identical dress. Not similar. Not inspired by. The same. Her date leaned in to whisper something. Kayla laughed. Aaliyah looked back at the guards. So why her and not me? They didn't answer. I didn't need to. Everyone inside saw it. I felt it, by pretending not to see. Was easier than speaking up. A white girl in red silk danced freely. A black girl in the same was dragged out like a criminal. 2 girls. One dress. 2 America's. She spotted Principal West standing by the entryway, arms crossed. Mr. West, she called out. Please, tell them this isn't right. He looked straight past her, like she wasn't even there. Someone whispered something into his ear. He nodded, tight-lipped. This is out of my hands, he said flatly. And then Without meeting her gaze, he turned away. Just like that, the man who shook her hand at honor roll assemblies chose silence over justice. The doors closed, not just to the gym, to fairness, to dignity, to be seen. Telling me this isn't true. Her mom's voice sliced through the night as she pulled up and leapt from the car. Aaliyah collapsed into her arms, sobbing. I didn't break the rules. I swear, Mom, I didn't. Her mother pulled her back just enough to look her in the face. That's the dress you picked? Aaliyah nodded. The dress. The one they saved for, bargained for, sacrificed groceries for. This is that dress, Aaliyah whispered, her voice dry and shaking. Her mom's face cracked. She looked away, hand trembling at her side. I fought for you to be in that room, she whispered. Not for them to do this. There were no cameras on her mom. But there should have been, because this wasn't just about fabric. It was about a promise, the one that every parent makes to their child, that if you do everything right, the world will be fair. And tonight proved that was a lie. Aaliyah sat on the curb, dress bunched at her knees, eyeliner streaked down her cheeks. Laughter spilled from inside. Lights flickered through the window. Her phone buzzed. A new message. Yo, what happened? She didn't answer. Instead, she hit a record. Her voice cracked. I wore the same dress as Kayla, but only I got dragged out. Tears shimmered in the corners of her eyes. Just say you didn't want me there. She tapped out a tag. At Bad Gal Rethan hit send, because if nobody in that room had her back, maybe the world would. Long before the dress, before the stairs, before the silence, there was a moment small and forgettable to anyone else where it all began. And that's where we go next. You lost? The boy barely glanced up from his AirPods as he blocked the hallway. Aaliyah sidestepped, not bothering to answer. She wasn't lost. She'd been going to this school for 3 years, but the question wasn't really a question. It was a reminder. Every day at North Hills Prep came with them. Subtle jabs, backhanded compliments, glances that lasted too long or not long at all. Her lockers had been moved more than once. Her electives always accidentally switched after the first semester. And in group projects, she was either ignored or used. She's so articulate, one parent had told a teacher on open house night. You can tell she was raised well. Aaliyah smiled. That's what you do when you don't have the privilege of snapping back. She knew the whispers. Scholarship kid, diversity admission. She must be lucky. But she wasn't lucky. She was tired. Tired of proving she belonged somewhere designed. To remind her she didn't. And yet, she kept walking those polished halls. Head high, even when it burned. Aaliyah? It's Aaliyah, she corrected. Gently. Mr. Kent blinked. Right, a light. She corrected him again, this time louder. He sighed. You know, it's just hard to remember some names. But he never messed up Emma, or Grace, or Zachary. Every substitute, every roll call, it happened again. The message was clear. If they could twist her name to fit their comfort, they'd twist anything. Her presence. Her pride. It wasn't just a name. It was an identity. And they kept misplacing it. Do you want to quit? Her mom had asked once, wiping sweat from her forehead after her third night shift that week. No, Aaliyah replied. I can handle it. Her mom nodded, too tired to speak, but her eyes said everything. You better make this worth it. Every uniform pressed, every late fee dodged, every scholarship application. Her mom handled it all, and never complained. I want you to walk into rooms I never could, she often said, but walking into those rooms came with a cost. One Aaliyah felt in her chest every morning. Failure wasn't an option. Not after everything her mom gave up. When the prom queen nominees were announced, the room went quiet before the applause kicked in. Aaliyah's name sat on the list, glowing on the screen like it didn't belong there. Someone muttered, "They're just trying to look inclusive." Another whispered, "Bet they rigged it." She heard them, all of them, every sideways glance, every forced smile. Even the student council looked uneasy. She'd earned her spot top of her class, athlete, community, service. But none of that mattered when her presence challenged their traditions. Aaliyah never asked to be the first black girl nominated. But now that she was, she couldn't pretend it didn't matter. They could clap politely, but they couldn't hide the resentment. "This is it," Aaliyah whispered as she zipped the garment bag open. She had spent months sketching, late nights scrolling Rihanna's fashion moments. She wanted to be bold, fearless, beautiful. She wanted a dress that screamed, "I'm not just here, I deserve to be seen." Every sequin was hand-placed. The scarlet hue was chosen with purpose. The neckline is just daring enough to feel powerful. Her mom saw it and blinked back tears. "That's your dream walking." It wasn't just fabric. It was voice, vision, defiance. Prom wasn't just a dance. It was the one night no one could ignore her. Not for her skin, not for her name, but for her presence. At least, that's what she thought, until the moment she stepped through those gym doors. Aaliyah's heart sank the moment she saw it. Her campaign poster, once bright and hopeful, now slashed with sharp black letters. Not prom queen material. The words stabbed deeper than she expected. Who would do this? She whispered, fingers trembling as she traced the hateful message. Her friends looked away, unsure whether to comfort or stay silent. The cafeteria buzzed with whispers, but no one dared admit the ugliness had just become real. She remembered the countless times she had been told to tone it down, to act more like them. This was the loudest version, yet an open declaration that she didn't belong. Humiliation curled inside her like a storm, but she swallowed it down. She wasn't broken yet. Not here, not now. Kayla strutted down the hallway in her tight dress, getting smiles and compliments. She looked so bold. A teacher whispered admiringly. Aaliyah overheard but knew the truth wasn't that simple. When she wore something similar, whispers followed. Watch your image. Too much for this crowd. Why was Kayla praised for confidence while Aaliyah was cautioned for the same? The double standard was a weight she carried silently, her skin coloring every comment, every glance. It wasn't just fashion police. It was coded judgment wrapped in polite words. She clenched her fists, remembering her mother's advice. Never let them tell you what you can't be. But some days, it was hard not to feel like the rules were written just for her to lose. The dress approval meeting was supposed to be a formality. Instead, it turned into a quiet trial. The administrator's eyes flicked over Aaliyah's design. Bold red gown, intricate yet elegant. That might be too much for our crowd, the woman said, voice calm but firm. Aaliyah swallowed her pride. It meets the code. I designed it myself. The admin didn't meet her gaze. We just want to maintain the school's atmosphere. Behind her, Kayla walked in, wearing an almost identical dress, same bold color, similar cut. The administrator smiled and nodded, waving Kayla through without a word. Aaliyah's chest tightened. How could one dress be too much for her and perfect for Kayla? The room seemed smaller, colder. She realized then this wasn't about dresses. It was about who got to wear them. Later, a chilling warning was whispered in the hallways. Just remember, we reserve the right to deny entrance if a student's attire is deemed inappropriate. The words sank into Aaliyah's bones. It wasn't just a dress code. It was a threat. Authority used to silence, control, exclude. She felt the weight of every stare, every unspoken judgment. Her heartbeat quickened. But she refused to back down. Her dreams were bigger than their rules. Prom night arrived, but the warmth she hoped for was absent. Every step toward the gym felt like walking into a spotlight of suspicion. She caught eyes, some curious, some cold, others openly disapproving. Whispers trailed behind her like shadows. She thinks she belongs here. Why is she even here? Her skin prickled with the intensity of those stares. It wasn't just the dress. It was the statement she made by wearing it. Aaliyah's throat tightened, but she held her head high. She was here, and she was ready. A teacher muttered under his breath as she passed. Well, she went ahead with it. The tone wasn't admiration. It was a warning. Aaliyah's confidence flickered for a moment, but she didn't look back. Not yet. She tried to lose herself in the music, the rhythm beneath her feet, but the weight of eyes never left her. Every glance, every whispered word was a reminder her presence was still a challenge. And somewhere beneath the glitter, tension simmered, waiting to explode. Get her out now. The words cut through the music like a knife. 2 security guards pushed through the crowd, eyes locked on Aaliyah. Panic flared inside her chest, but she stood her ground as the guards reached her in the middle of the dance floor. Ma'am, you need to come with us. One barked, grabbing her arm with more force than necessary. What are you doing? I'm not breaking any rules. Aaliyah's voice cracked, shock and disbelief flooding her words. The students around them froze, some pulling out their phones, their screens capturing the moment she was yanked away from the celebration she had dreamed of for months. Whispers morphed into gasps. A few tried to protest, but the crowd's energy held them back. Fear and confusion replaced joy. Why me? I wore the same dress as Kayla. Aaliyah shouted, struggling as the guards tightened their grip. Her heart pounded, not just from the physical restraint, but from the betrayal of everyone around her. The glittering night dissolved into a nightmare, the injustice raw and undeniable. Aaliyah pointed frantically toward Kayla, who stood just feet away, untouched, her smirk almost mocking. Look, she's wearing the exact same dress. Aaliyah's voice rose, disbelief morphing into rage. The contrast was glaring. Kayla's path was clear, while Aaliyah was being dragged away. Some students lowered their phones, eyes darting nervously between the two. One voice muttered, "That's not fair." But no one stepped forward. The hypocrisy was painfully obvious. This was no mistake or misunderstanding. It was racial bias cloaked in policy. Aaliyah's blood boiled as she realized the same dress that was celebrated on Kayla was weaponized. Against her. The silence of the room screamed louder than any protest. Later, standing rigid outside the principal's office, Aaliyah demanded answers. I followed every rule. Why was I removed? She asked, voice trembling but firm. The principal's gaze was cold, dismissive. You were warned about the dress code, he said flatly. We're just following policy. But Kayla, no exceptions, he interrupted, tone final. The words hit harder than any slap. Institutional gaslighting, wrapped in bureaucratic jargon, left her speechless. Her faith in fairness crumbled as she realized authority wasn't on her side. Aaliyah's date stepped forward, voice shaking but determined. This isn't right. She did nothing wrong. A security guard's glare silenced him instantly. Back off, or you'll face suspension. The guard warned. Classmates watched, frozen, fearful, or indifferent. No one dared to stand with her. The isolation deepened, wrapping around her like a suffocating fog. Then her mother arrived, eyes blazing with fierce protectiveness. Let her speak, she demanded, stepping between Aaliyah and the guards. Ma'am, this is a private school policy matter. An administrator replied coolly. She's just a student. Her mother shot back. You're treating her like a criminal. Voices rose, but every argument was met with cold bureaucracy. No exceptions, repeated the principal. Even a mother's love was powerless against the system's wall of silence. The weight of helplessness settled heavily over them both. Outside, Aaliyah collapsed onto the pavement, tears streaming freely. Her dreams shattered along with the night's celebration. The dress her design. Her hope felt like a cruel joke. She wasn't just kicked out of prom. She was stripped of dignity, belonging, and pride. Her mother sat beside her, silent tears falling as she looked at the dress. The price she had paid for this moment. The injustice wasn't just about fabric or rules. It was a brutal reminder of how far she still had to go. Shaking, Aaliyah pulled out her phone and began recording. Her voice cracked, raw with pain and determination. I wore the same dress as someone else, but only I was dragged out. Her eyes glistened with tears as she spoke directly to the camera. She tagged her idol, at Bad Gal RIRI. This isn't just about me. It's about every time someone's been judged for their skin or their style. Her video went live a small spark, igniting a fire that was about to blaze far beyond this night. It shouldn't have happened. Not like this. Not to me. Aaliyah's voice cracked, tears spilling as she stared into the camera. Her words, raw and honest, spilled out in that viral video, an unfiltered confession of pain and disbelief. Within hours, her story exploded online. Millions watched, reposted, and shared their outrage. Comments flooded in. How can they do this to a young woman like her? This is exactly why we need to talk about racism in schools. People weren't just sympathizing, they were demanding justice. From high school students to activists, the message was clear. Silence was no longer an option. Social media became a battleground, every share and retweet turning Aaliyah's pain into a collective call for change. Her video wasn't just a plea, it was a spark lighting a wildfire of awareness. This should have never happened. They echoed, rallying behind her courage. The internet had a field day. Side-by-side images flooded feeds. Aaliyah's dress next to Kayla's, then the same dress Rihanna had famously worn on the red carpet. Memes, tweets, and viral posts spread like wildfire. That's literally Rihanna's dress. One post exclaimed, dripping with irony. Influencers, fashion bloggers, and celebrities chimed in, amplifying the story. Unbelievable, one tweet read. How is this still happening in 2025? The school was under fire. Pressure mounted as the story transcended local gossip and became a global outrage. The hashtag Justice for Aaliyah began trending, turning a quiet prom night injustice into a headline story demanding accountability. At a star-studded press event in Los Angeles, Rihanna took the stage. With a knowing smile, she addressed the viral video. That girl wore it better, and she got kicked out? Rihanna's voice was calm, but fierce. Say less. Her words carried weight, turning a moment of protest into a powerful declaration. Stand with Aaliyah, she added. This isn't just about fashion. It's about fairness and respect. Her support ignited hope. Suddenly, this wasn't just Aaliyah's story anymore. It was a movement. The next morning, a sleek black SUV rolled up to the school gates. Cameras swarmed immediately, capturing the moment history was being made. Rihanna stepped out, draped in the same fiery red dress, confident, unapologetic. Flashes erupted as reporters clamored for a statement. Without hesitation, Rihanna strode into the building, head held high. The dress symbolizing more than style, it was a challenge. Students and staff alike paused, stunned into silence by her presence. The tide had turned. The once ignored injustice now had a powerful face demanding change. The message was unmistakable. Aaliyah wasn't alone, and the system's silence was over. Inside the lobby, Rihanna found Aaliyah and wrapped her in a warm embrace. You made this dress shine, she whispered, her voice steady but full of emotion. Aaliyah's eyes widened, the weight of validation washing over her. This wasn't just support. It was an affirmation that her worth could not be denied. In that moment, victimhood shifted to empowerment. The fight for justice had a new symbol, and Aaliyah was at its heart, facing a live media crowd. The principal fumbled through excuses, his voice weak. Misunderstanding. He STMIRED. Rihanna cut him off sharply. Funny, she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. Your school clearly doesn't know fashion or fairness. Her words landed like a hammer, silencing critics and spotlighting hypocrisy. The public reckoning had begun. No more hiding behind policy. Across the globe, #JusticeForAliyah trended relentlessly. The story had evolved from a single act of injustice to a worldwide call for change. Aaliyah's courage sparked a movement. The school's official statement played across screens. We deeply regret the incident involving Aaliyah. Steps will be taken to ensure this never happens again. But to Aaliyah and countless supporters, it sounded hollow, more a shield than a true admission of guilt. This apology? It's too little, too late, a friend texted her. The words echoed the frustration of many who saw the statement as performative damage control, not justice. The wound was still fresh. An apology without action felt like a broken promise, barely scratching the surface of the systemic racism exposed by the viral injustice. Behind closed doors, the fallout was swift but silent. Board members resigned quietly, and the principal announced an early retirement. No public confessions, no owning up, just a reshuffling of power to appease critics. It's accountability without accountability, Aaliyah's mother remarked bitterly during a conversation. The system tried to contain the storm, but it couldn't erase the truth everyone now knew. Institutions often protect themselves before people. Still, this quiet upheaval signaled that even silent consequences carried weight, proof that Aaliyah's courage had cracked a foundation built on years of denial. Fashion schools and scholarship offers flooded in after Aaliyah's designs went viral. Her creativity and bravery captured hearts worldwide. Emails from top programs praised her unique vision, recognizing not only her skill, but the significance of her story. For the first time, her passion wasn't overshadowed by prejudice. Was spotlighted, celebrated, and rewarded. Her name was no longer whispered with doubt, but spoken with admiration. Then came the message that changed everything. Rihanna herself reached out. I want to mentor you, the icon wrote. Let's turn this pain into power. An exclusive summer internship awaited Aaliyah, a chance to learn from the best while rewriting her narrative. The support from a global superstar transformed Aaliyah's fight into a dream realized, proving how celebrity backing can elevate social justice stories and empower the marginalized. Talk shows clamored to feature Aaliyah. Inspired by her grace amid adversity, her story became a beacon of resilience, sparking conversations nationwide about racial bias in private schools. She wasn't just a victim, she was a symbol of strength, captivating audiences and inspiring countless others to speak up. Her viral journey was proof. Standing tall under pressure could change minds and lives. Inspired by her courage, activists launched a national fund supporting students of color facing discrimination in private schools. Aaliyah's experience became the catalyst for real change, turning personal pain into a collective movement. The wave of support promised a future where no student would have to face such injustice alone. Weeks later, Aaliyah returned to school with a quiet but undeniable strength, no longer shrinking into the background. She walked taller, carrying unspoken victories in her gaze. Her presence spoke louder than words, proof that dignity and pride could withstand even the harshest trials. Classmates who once ignored her now whispered with reverence. The atmosphere had shifted, mockery replaced by admiration. Aaliyah's resilience had transformed her from an outcast into a figure of respect within those same halls. One timid voice finally broke the silence. "I'm sorry we didn't say something," she admitted softly. It was a small moment of reckoning, a seed for future courage among peers. Aaliyah smiled gently, eyes steady. "Say something next time," she replied. Her words hung in the air, both a challenge and a call to action. For everyone listening, "They tried to make me invisible," Aaliyah began, voice steady, eyes reflecting every battle fought. "But that night, because I dared to be seen, I became unforgettable." Her story wasn't just about a dress or a school's failure. It was about every student silenced by fear or prejudice. It's about standing up, even when the world tries to shut you down. It's about turning pain into power, shame into strength. Her message lingered, a powerful reminder that courage could shatter walls and rewrite narratives. Aaliyah's fight wasn't over, but her place in history was already sealed. What would you have done if you saw someone being treated like Aaliyah? Would you stand up, speak out, or stay silent? Imagine yourself right there in that moment. We can't keep ignoring these daily injustices. Every act of racism chips away at someone's dignity. Silence only fuels the pain and lets discrimination grow unchecked. Drop your thoughts below. Share your experiences or what you do if you witness this kind of unfairness. If this story moved you, hit that like, let your support be heard. Tag someone who needs to see this. Help spread awareness and start important conversations. Subscribe for more stories that expose the truth. Join us in shining a light on real injustice and inspiring change.